Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for Mayor Todd Gloria's 2025 State of the City Address. I know that this is an odd time. Usually, this event is held in the evening, so special thanks to those of you who are able to join us here in the middle of the afternoon. Just a quick note that this recording will be available on our YouTube channel later this week, so those of you who are not able to come today will still be able to watch this later. My name is Patrick Stewart. I am the CEO of the Library Foundation SD, and on behalf of all of our library supporters, the Friends of the Library Commission, welcome. We're glad that you're here spending time with us, listening to the mayor's speech this afternoon. The mayor is set to speak at 3 p.m. You won't have to leave this platform to watch the speech, but before he comes on, I'd like to introduce my guest today, Dr. Wendy Wrank-Buhr. Dr. Wendy is the Senior Executive Director at San Diego Unified School District in charge of equity, access, and opportunity. And for the past 3 years, she has been a member of the Library Commission. Dr. Wendy, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Patrick.
Before we get started, maybe briefly you can tell us a little bit about what the Senior Executive Director of Equity, Access, and Opportunity does at the San Diego Unified School District.
So, as the Senior Executive Director of this division, I work with my team to ensure that teachers and students have access to materials for learning. I specifically oversee the curriculum areas of math, science, English language arts, history, and ethnic studies, and making sure that teachers and students have opportunities for learning and they have access to all the curriculum materials that they need so that we have representation of our students in our curriculum materials.
That's fantastic. As an SDUSD parent, thank you very much for the work that you do. Now, obviously, a central theme of the mayor's speech today will be the city's projected deficit going into fiscal year 2026. Anticipated to be over $260 million, the administration has requested budgets from several departments totaling 20% in reductions in expenses per department. And San Diego Public Library is one of those departments, and that equates to roughly $16 million in reductions. This would result in, among many things, a loss of programming budgets, tutoring for students, a significant reduction in cultural programming, digital access, potential reduction in hours that the library would be open. Clearly, this will have a significant impact on the communities, the families, the seniors, and the young people that the library serves. Dr. Wendy, can you help us understand from your perspective what cuts like this will mean for San Diegans who rely on the library for services every day?
I think one of the biggest concerns that I have about this for our San Diego residents and our students is the reduced access that our community is going to have for information that they need for learning and for enhancing their own lives. So, for example, the ability to research job opportunities, topics that are of interest to them personally or for their own well-being, such as topics of health and science. And this is becoming a more pressing issue in our society than ever before. We need to make sure that we have strong libraries to allow our San Diego residents to be able to get information and to do research on topics that are of interest and importance to them. Additionally, it's going to limit access to resources that, for the most part, our library is the only free and public place that some people can go to get computer access, for example, to go online and do some of the tasks that I had mentioned previously. And I don't want to forget the access to our librarians. Your librarians are right there and can help you find the best answers to your questions. As the meme goes, the internet will provide you an answer. A librarian will help you to find the answer you're looking for.
Touche. Absolutely. That, you bring up access. We've been talking a lot about access in the last year and a half or so, particularly with challenges to particular titles and book bans. And the ALA has been watching this and United Against Book Bans and how unfortunate that we live in a city that is ensuring that access to intellectual freedom is an enshrined right, but our budget constraints may end up curtailing some of that access. I think you bring up a good point, particularly also about digital access. One of the library's core strengths is as a collaborative partner with organizations in our region. And one of the most important partnerships, as you know, is with San Diego Unified School District. What does that partnership look like, and how do those programs, serve young people in the city? And then how do those programs and services are in jeopardy under these potential budget projections?
So I'll mention some of the things that we do in our partnership currently that really stand out. One is our youth librarians in the San Diego library system. They actually attend community events that we have, and they are there to provide books and additional resources that tie into whatever the topic that we happen to be focusing on for that particular event. So for Black History Month, for example, they attended our Kumeyaay flag raising events and so forth. So having the youth librarians there to provide the beyond this moment in time learning and resources has been a fabulous partnership. I can't say enough about that. Our youth librarians also, they go directly to our school sites, which, when the city has a budget deficit, we are also facing budget deficits in San Diego Unified. So these partnerships are more important than ever because our students need to have access to these materials. So when the librarians come right to the school, and if the library is close enough, our students can actually go to the library with their teacher. And in some of our communities, they do that. So those are some of the ways that this partnership is so critically important. And I think in times of budget shortfalls are even more important. We have to think uh, more creatively, if you will, about how we can support one another using taxpayer dollars in the most efficient ways possible.
I agree. I agree. I want to talk a little bit more about the youngest people in our community,
Mhm,
specifically.
mhm.
In your time on the commission, and of course, as a valuable partner with the library, you've mentioned a couple of instances already, but with thinking of young people and students specifically, what are some of the ways that the library has risen to the occasion to serve young people, and what are some of your biggest concerns, not just about the community, but the library's ability to continue meeting the needs of the youngest San Diegans that use the library?
So for the youngest students, I recently had an opportunity at the Central Library to see and I apologize if I get the name wrong, but it was parents bringing in very young children for reading time, and it was an opportunity for the parents to support one another in the parenting of their young children, and a time to build those literacy skills of our very youngest uh, children. But the other thing is the tutoring programs. That's very,
Mm,
very popular. Kids need that kind of space to be able to do their schoolwork and be able to get that help on the spot. So that's been very important. The teen labs. At our last commissioners meeting, we actually had I learned all about the media intern program, where students who were interested in going into videography had an opportunity to learn a new skill that they could take into the world of work. Um, and then the other component, I think, as you had mentioned, which is a very pressing issue for me, is uh, access to books.
yeah,
And our libraries have really, really stood up, and I'm particularly concerned about our our YA resources. They are getting banned left and right, and
yeah.
our library has stood very, very firm on continuing to provide access to those books, not only here in San Diego, but across the nation through the work with the foundation. And so that continual access to books and staying present with our youth, that those books deserve to be in their hands and that students have a right to read them. So that
Yeah.
would be some big issues, and our libraries have stood tall and proud in that battle.
You mentioned two programs that are near and dear to my heart. Of course, the tutoring program, 11,000, a little more than 11,000 young people access that do your homework at the library in the tutoring programs last year. And the media arts program, getting young people with, tangible skills that gets them into the workforce. They immediately move from that program into a paid internship with the city, doing these programs, the videography for all the different departments, and then they can walk out employable. I mean, the economic development opportunities that our library provides is insurmountable. One particular point that I'm hoping to hear from the mayor this afternoon is how the city intends to shoulder this deficit equitably and not unfairly on the backs of departments like parks and libraries. And we've seen time and again, when money is scarce, when money is scarce, we ask our libraries to do more with less. And yet we don't see the same proportional investments when money isn't scarce and we're not facing economic challenges. So, I encourage all of our library supporters to visit us at libraryfoundationsd.org to find out how everyone can join us in our advocacy efforts, ensuring that the libraries do have the tools and resources necessary to serve San Diego effectively. Dr. Wendy, in the few minutes that we have left, what are you hoping to hear from the mayor this afternoon?
Well, I'm hoping to hear something similar. I'm hoping to hear a willingness to at least consider other ideas to address the budget shortfall. This 20% to all departments is not the same depending on the size of the department and the division. In San Diego Unified, we faced a $176 million budget shortfall. So this task is not unknown to me in terms of how we look at this across a large system. I get that it's not the city of San Diego, but it's still a very large deficit. Um, and I think really looking at, is 20% for every department the very best way that we can do this and still meet the needs of the city of San Diego and the communities that we serve?
Great. Yeah, no, I hear you. We've been talking a lot about this at the foundation with other advocates, this idea of the blanket across the board cuts. We're really, I think, personally, I think we're really going to suffer when we take a hatchet to neighborhood services, parks, recreation centers, libraries, arts and culture, things that really make San Diego a wonderful place to live. As we wait for the mayor to take the podium, which should happen pretty soon here, we've got another minute or so. I just wanted to remind those of you that are watching now that Dr. Wendy and I will have some brief remarks and reaction to the mayor's speech when he's finished. And then also, please, again, visit us online at libraryfoundationsd.org to sign up for advocacy alerts and important information on how you can be an advocate for your library. And remember that today's program, again, will be available on the Library Foundation SD's YouTube channel later on this week. It looks like we have just another quick minute. Dr. Wendy, as a member of the commission, I do want to ask you, you all were presented on Wednesday for the first time with the challenges that Misty and her team are facing. We've been hearing, obviously, some of this for a little while, being in the building with Misty. What was your reaction as a commissioner? And did you sort of take the pulse of the other commissioners in the room? Sort of what was the reaction on behalf of the commission to not only the stark news, but what Misty and her team have been asked to provide?
So I think the my one word response was disappointment.
Yeah.
We just got Sunday hours back, and it looks like we're staring down needing to possibly address that. But there was also a real commitment to try and do something about this. so that we ensure that our communities continue to have access to the libraries. Because I think overall, that was the concern from the commissioners, was access. How do we keep access for our families during the times when they need to use those library facilities?
Well, I know that at the foundation, we're looking forward to working with you and the commissioners and the friends and our community members to ensure, anything that we can do to ensure that those programs are able to be continued uninterrupted. And particularly each one of our diverse neighborhoods who have very specific needs and very different ways that they use libraries and they use library resources and programs, that they will still have access to those library resources and those programs. Finally, I think we've got another quick minute. One of the things that Misty's asked, and I know she's asked all of us that work both with her and on behalf of her team, if you were to say, and I think you've probably already mentioned this already, but and again, not to put you on the spot, but what is the most important thing to keep in your communities? Library, from
So
a library perspective.
So I think that I did say it already, but I will say it again. It's the access piece. If our libraries are not open at times when families and our community can access them, then we are not providing equitable access for our community.
I hear
So
you. All right, it looks like the mayor's State of the City address is about ready to get started, so we will switch over. And please stick around afterwards. Join Dr. Wendy and I for some reactions after the speech and enjoy. Thank you for joining us thus far.
We'd also like to acknowledge the presence of City Attorney Heather Ferbert. Chief Operating Officer Eric Dargan. Independent Budget Analyst Charles Modica. Our Independent City Auditor Andy Hanow. And the person who makes this all work, our City Clerk, Deanna Fuentes. I'd like to welcome all of you here in chambers and everyone watching at home to the 2025 State of the City Address by our Mayor, the Honorable Todd Gloria. We have a number of elected officials and former elected officials with us today, as well as representatives of our federal, state, and local elected officials. Can we please give them a warm welcome and a round of applause? Again, thank you all for being here for the 2025 State of the City Address. Pursuant to Article 15, Section 265-14C of the City Charter, today's address shall serve as the communication by message to the City Council of the conditions and affairs of the city, and make recommendations on such matters as deemed expedient and proper. Just a reminder that at the beginning of the meeting at 2 p.m., I went over the city's practices and procedures for public comment at City Council meetings, and the Council took public comment on this item. We have these practices and procedures to protect the rights of speakers who wish to address the Council and to allow the city to conduct the public's business. At this point, if any person or group of persons engages in behavior that actually disrupts, disturbs, or impedes the orderly conduct of the meeting, they will be in violation of state law and the rules of the Council in the Municipal Code and will be removed from the meeting. Once again, we have these practices and procedures to allow the city to conduct the public's business. With that, to begin today's ceremony, and actually, if you please rise. To begin today's ceremony, we respectfully acknowledge that we are in Native American land. Please join me as I lead in our land acknowledgement. We respectfully acknowledge that the Kumeyaay Nation are the original inhabitants of the unceded land now known as San Diego. Despite enduring the horrors of genocide and colonization, the Kumeyaay spirit remains unbroken. We honor the resilience of their ancestors who fought to protect their culture and land. Today, they carry their legacy forward, ensuring that their traditions continue to thrive in gratitude and strength. We stand with the Kumeyaay Nation, connected to our past and committed to a thriving future. To provide today's invocation is Dr. Terry Brooks, the chaplain of the San Diego Fire Rescue Department and lead pastor of Bayview Church. Affectionately known as Pastor T, Dr. Brooks is one of Southern California's most influential spiritual leaders. As lead pastor of Bayview Church, the largest predominantly African-American congregation in San Diego, he has led transformational growth both within the church and throughout the broader community. During his tenure, Pastor Brooks has fostered impactful connections between the church and the community through innovative programs and initiatives such as SOS, Serving Our Streets, an annual mission-driven project addressing the city's homelessness crisis in downtown San Diego. Hashtag I Choose Life, Leadership Development and Mentorship Program, a year-round initiative supporting and guiding youth leaders. The Reclaimed Initiative, a movement encouraging community involvement in combating racial injustice and human trafficking. And last but not least, Paving Great Futures, a program designed to raise awareness and tackle the issue of sex trafficking in San Diego County. These efforts, among many others, demonstrate Pastor Brooks' unwavering commitment to community empowerment and service. Under his leadership, Bayview Church has experienced remarkable growth driven by his inspiring message of hope, forgiveness, reconciliation, and healing, themes he will touch upon in tonight's invocation. Pastor Brooks.
Shall we pray? God our Father, we pause this afternoon, first of all, to say thank you. Thank you for saying yes again to our existence. Thank you for allowing us another chance to get it right. Thank you for loving us so much that you saw fit to allow us to be here to serve you this day. As we're filled with gratitude, God, our hearts are also filled with compassion, especially for those who are dealing with the horrors of the tragic fires just a few hours north of us. God, I pray that you will comfort those who are grieving, comfort those who are dealing with loss, comfort those who have anxiety on how they're going to rebuild life as they know it. God, protect our firefighters and law enforcement as they try to put the fires out and to keep order in a place where panic seems to be the norm. God, thank you for all of those who serve us publicly and protect our rights and freedoms, and I pray that you be a hedge around them. Thank you for the men and women who fill this room today so that we can hear the direction our great city is going in. God, I ask that you would keep your hands on our honorable mayor and those who work closely with him as he leads this city filled with your people to the destiny you would have for us. Keep his mind and his heart always on his mind that the earth is still the Lord's and the fullness thereof, the people and they that dwell therein. I pray that what goes on in this room today makes you smile and brings you joy. We pray this prayer in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Please remain standing if you're able. San Diego is proud to be one of the safest big cities in the country, and that is thanks to our brave public safety professionals, including the San Diego Police Department. Here today to present the colors is the SDPD Honor Guard. Many of you may also know that at the age of 10, Mayor Gloria was runner-up for Mayor Maureen O'Connor's Mayor for a Day contest. Now, as the 37th mayor of our city, Mayor Gloria relaunched the contest to inspire young leaders to become more civically engaged and hopefully pursue careers in public service. Leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance is this year's Mayor for a Day contest winner, a 7th grade student from Pershing Middle School and a resident of San Carlos, Landry Gage.
Thank you. Please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. Place your right hand over your heart. Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Now, to perform our national anthem, please join me in welcoming Project Safety Representative from the Engineering and Capital Projects Department, Leslie Green, accompanied by her daughter, award-winning singer and songwriter, Rebecca Jade.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave, home of the brave, home of the brave.
Thank you to everyone who took part in our today's program. Honor Guard, please retire the colors. You all may be seated. It is now my tremendous honor to introduce the 37th Mayor of the City of San Diego, the Honorable Todd Gloria, to provide today's State of the City address. Mayor Gloria.
Thank you all, and good afternoon. Council President LaCava, members of the City Council, City Attorney Ferbert, our dedicated city employees, and my fellow San Diegans. Before I begin, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge and extend the condolences of our great city to our neighbors in Los Angeles and the surrounding areas. As you know, they continue to battle truly catastrophic wildfires that are devastating communities. And I want to express our city's profound gratitude to all the firefighters and emergency personnel from around the world, including our very own San Diego Fire Rescue crews, who are putting their lives on the line to protect communities. LA, we are with you, we are rooting for you, and please stay safe. My fellow San Diegans, it is an honor to come before you today to deliver my 5th State of the City address as the 37th mayor of our great city. Over the past 4 years, we have worked together to tackle our city's biggest challenges, the ones long ignored, often considered insurmountable, and left unaddressed by past administrations. Together, we have made the bold decisions, confronted the tough issues, and refused to let the obstacles of the past define our future. And in doing so, we have made progress, not always perfect and rarely easy, but progress that has moved San Diego forward. In a normal year, much of this address would be spent highlighting the progress on our 4 major priorities for the city: keep you safe, reduce homelessness, build more housing, and fix the damn roads. And there's certainly plenty to talk about and to celebrate. How crime is down, homicides reduced by 30%, sexual assaults down by 12%, robberies down by 10%, and car thefts down by 20%. How our firefighters, lifeguards, and paramedics responded to an incredible 188,000 emergency calls last year, a new record. How we resurfaced a full quarter of our entire road network in just the last 4 years. And how the city's credit rating increased in June from AA to AA+, the second highest rating available. How we've more than doubled homeless shelter options, and with recent data showing that our efforts are finally turning the tide. But this year, I want to primarily focus on the work ahead. Because while our persistence has yielded many achievements to celebrate, the stark financial realities we face today will be a true test of our resolve. As you know, Measure E, our proposed sales tax measure that the voters of this city considered this past November, did not secure enough support. Its defeat means that we as a city face a $258 million budget deficit this upcoming fiscal year, about 12% of our current $2.1 billion operating budget. This comes on the heels of a $170 million shortfall that we faced last year, which we closed through surgical cuts and one-time measures. While we had hoped that Measure E would give us the ability to finally align our ongoing resources with desired service levels and make big investments in our neighborhood infrastructure needs, as mayor, I've heard and I accept the will of the voters. Instead, we now must find another way to continue delivering on the core priorities that matter most to San Diegans. Doing so with a $250 million budget deficit will be an immense challenge. One that demands responsible stewardship of every dollar and clear-eyed decisions about our priorities. One that will force tough conversations and even tougher decisions by many of us in this room. And that's why today I chose to speak to you not from a stage in a grand theater, but in council chambers right here in San Diego City Hall. Because it is here where the policies that shape our city's future are debated, crafted, and decided. And it is here where these difficult conversations will occur and solutions to this challenge will take shape. So yes, this is an immense challenge that we're facing, but it's also something else. Immense opportunity. Opportunity to refocus and reimagine the public work that we do, an opportunity to revisit and reevaluate the services that we provide. I believe that you want a city government that wants the most of what we have, that makes the most of what we have, prioritizes the basics, and delivers results. And in that, we must acknowledge a fundamental truth, that we can no longer do things a certain way simply because that's how they've always been done. The task ahead as I believe you, the voters, have directed us, is to right-size our city's budget, not just for this year, but for the long term. And it means matching up our resources with our priorities and making hard choices, including reducing or eliminating some city services. And we have already begun this work. I've taken immediate steps to cut spending, freezing all but the hiring for all but the most essential positions, stopping non-essential spending, and making other mid-year adjustments to put us in a better position to start the next fiscal year. I'm conducting a wholesale evaluation of our city's office space leases. Where it's cost beneficial, we will terminate or renegotiate leases and consolidate space to use square footage more efficiently and save taxpayers money. I've also directed city department directors to craft their budgets for next year, not by simply tweaking last year's budget, but totally rethinking their operations to preserve the highest level of service possible within a smaller resource allocation. This approach is really no different from what you would do if your family was facing tough times. We adjust, we get creative, and we make the most of what we have. And I have faith in our city employees to rise to the occasion. Because time and again, they have demonstrated the ability to tackle complex challenges with creativity and with determination. Take housing, for example. A crisis decades in the making that not only threatens our city's economy, but also the very fabric of our community. It has caused many to wonder whether they have a future here. Families have felt pushed out, children are growing up hundreds of miles away from their grandparents, employers are struggling to attract and to retain the talent they need to be successful. If we are going to be a truly great city that all of us can live in, then we have to continue to build more housing, period, point blank, full stop. From my first day in office, I've worked to make this city more pro-housing. I directed our planning director to think boldly and to cut through red tape that slows down construction and drives up costs. Within 6 months, we passed the first of 2 packages of major reforms to make it easier to build a wide range of housing types. We combed through our land development code to clear away unnecessary hurdles. Our development services department delivered on the audacious goal I set in 2 executive orders to speed up housing production, requiring all relevant city departments to review key housing projects in 30 days or less. And I'm here to tell you these measures are working. To date, we've sped up permitting on 33 projects with more than 3,500 new homes, and we have another 3,500 in the pipeline right now. City staff also far exceeded my 30-day mandate for permit review, completing these approvals in an average of just 8 days, when it in the past typically took over 6 months. Now, I'm a bit of a policy nerd, so I recognize policy reforms might be a little boring to you, but the results are incredibly exciting. For about 2 decades, San Diego was permitting on average about 4,300 new homes each year. In 2023, we more than doubled that, permitting almost 10,000 new homes. Preliminary numbers for last year show another 8,500 new homes were permitted, even in the face of high interest rates and inflation. Our progress to build more housing extends beyond just policy changes and cutting red tape. Through our city's economic development department, we've invested $90 million in former redevelopment funds to help affordable housing projects get across the finish line through our innovative Bridge to Home program. And this has resulted in nearly 2,000 new affordable apartments across our city, from Rancho Bernardo to San Ysidro. And through the state of California's Home Key program, last year we partnered with the San Diego Housing Commission to convert an extended stay hotel into 160 homes for people experiencing homelessness. Today, our Home Key portfolio now includes 6 projects with over 600 homes. With all of this, my attention this year will turn to new housing opportunities for our city's working and middle class, for families with children, as well as those looking to potentially downsize. In the coming months, I intend to announce a new program to incentivize the construction of new starter homes like row homes, townhomes, and condos, homes that can bring first-time home ownership opportunities for San Diegans to create generational wealth for themselves and for their children. Now, this multi-departmental, all-hands-on-deck approach to our housing crisis that I just described is one example of this dedication to improving the lives of San Diegans that I see every day coming from our city workforce. And the city of San Diego can do hard things. And in 2025, we are going to add conquering our structural budget deficit once and for all to our list of accomplishments. Having taken office as a city council member at the start of the Great Recession, I know a thing or two about balancing budgets during tough times. However, this time, we cannot seek one-time measures that will only serve to prolong our pain for several years to come. It is my expectation that we handle this structural deficit this year. No gimmicks, no Hail Mary passes, no cavalry is coming to save us. We cannot wait yet for another revenue measure that might fail, and we certainly can't count on assistance from the federal government, which under the incoming administration is far more likely to burden us than to help us. Steep cuts will be necessary. But I also want to be clear that I'm not interested in just slashing our way to a balanced budget. Instead, we will reimagine how we operate, examining every service we provide and how we can make the most of the public assets that we have. We need to ask fundamental questions in the weeks and months ahead. Why are we doing it this way? And is there a better way? For example, why does the city prohibit street paving in coastal areas during the summer months? Could we change that and save both time and money? Why do we pay for landlines for city workers that few of us actually still use? Why do city employees who work a hybrid schedule still need their own office or cubicle? Why does the city have both a personnel department and a human resources department? We have corporate partnerships that have delivered well for us, like our deal with Toyota to provide lifeguard vehicles, saving taxpayers almost $4 million. Why not do more partnerships like this? Again, a reminder that we can no longer do things a certain way simply because that's the way that it's always been done. And we're going to have to capitalize much more on our existing assets and do more to recover full costs to taxpayers. City facilities, streets, parking lots, and lands have great value that we've discounted or given away for free. And it's time to reconsider all of this to ensure that we can continue to deliver the most critical services. And we're going to seek to shift some of the burdens that do not belong on the backs of city taxpayers. And that's especially true when it comes to homelessness. I've said it before and it remains true. Addressing homelessness is not solely the responsibility of the city of San Diego. The city of San Diego cannot continue to shoulder the response to this region's homelessness crisis alone. Over the past 4 years, we have done the work to build up a homeless response ecosystem to get people off the streets, connected to care, and on a path to housing. Our city-funded outreach, shelter, and family unification programs have served more than 25,000 people and successfully placed nearly 4,700 of them into housing. Along with these efforts comes the imperative to enforce our laws against unsafe and unsanitary encampments. In San Diego, we took a stand that we will not accept encampments that block sidewalks, forcing children to walk in the street just to get to school, and making it harder for customers to patronize businesses that employ our people and power our economy. Our unsafe camping ordinance is successfully reducing encampments in heavily impacted areas without widespread arrests. Put simply, it is working. Implementing our comprehensive shelter strategy to reduce homelessness is my administration's #1 priority, and it will continue to be this year. And we will, now hear me on this, we will, even with our difficult financial picture, we will increase options for people to get off the streets this year. We will open a new safe parking site at H Barracks, as well as other new shelter facilities. Because there are people who are still suffering out on our streets and sidewalks and canyons each and every night, and they need our help. So whether you're a community member or a member of this city council, understand that we are going to do more. We must do more, and I welcome your partnership to reduce homelessness, not your opposition. But the responsibility is not ours alone. Homelessness is a national crisis, up 18% nationwide, and it is present in every corner of our region. And for every city in our region, from San Marcos to Imperial Beach, they need to step it up. Because they too have vacant buildings that can be converted into shelters. They too have underused parking lots that can accommodate a safe parking program. They too have land where they can create a safe sleeping program. And they too can choose to build more housing. It's long past time for all cities in this county to do their part and not simply rely on you, the taxpayers of this city, to continue to foot the bill. It's also long past time for the County of San Diego to fulfill its responsibility on addressing homelessness in our region. Mental health and addiction are often at the core of homelessness. And behavioral health, mental health, and treatment for substance use disorders are all services that are supposed to be provided by county government. The City of San Diego does not have a Health and Human Services Agency, but the county does. They are the government entity vested with the responsibility and the funding for mental health. I live and work in downtown San Diego. Every single day, I see the serious mental illness that acts like a gravitational pull that keeps people on our streets. And the city has done everything we can within our limited authority to help on this issue. We took a leading role lobbying the state of California to pass care court and conservatorship reform. We did our part to prepare the region to receive new state-funded mental health and detox beds by amending our land use code to make it easier to permit treatment facilities. And now it's time for the county to step up and deliver the behavioral health treatment for which they receive millions of dollars to get the very sick people living on the streets the care that they need. Over a year ago, the county board voted to delay implementation of the state law that makes it easier for people suffering from severe mental illness to access life-saving care. And it did little in this one-year delay to prepare for its implementation. And it has yet to take meaningful steps to address the very real shortage of behavioral health care beds. And when they fail to live up to their obligations, we are all left to pick up the pieces and pay the bills. It strains our police department, our paramedics, our hospitals, and makes all of us feel more unsafe. We cannot afford to absorb the impact of this inaction any longer. Enough is enough. My fellow San Diegans, it is my hope that anytime you see a person on the street suffering from extreme mental illness or addiction, that you think of the County of San Diego and ask, when will they step up to provide the services they need to end this crisis once and for all? There's another entity that also needs to follow through on their role to address the homeless crisis. Like you, I use our freeways every day and see the growing number of tents and garbage along on-ramps and underpasses. And like you, I find this to be absolutely unacceptable. It is dangerous for people living in these encampments. It distracts drivers and it increases the risk of fires that our residents already know all too well. The City of San Diego over the last year has received on average 300 complaints per month about people experiencing homelessness and severe tent encampments on state property. Complaints that we refer to Caltrans because legally the City of San Diego cannot go onto state property to clear encampments. But the situation is dire and we need help. So if the state can't or won't address these areas, they should give the city full authority to do this work and then fully reimburse us for the cost of doing that work. We are ready to partner to do this work, but we need action now. And my friends, I'm so passionate about this because it affects the bottom line of our city. Every dollar the city spends in responding to the lack of action from other cities, the county, or the state are dollars not being spent fixing your roads, upgrading our stormwater systems, or supporting public safety. Now, even as we face these frustrations and these challenges, I want to take a moment to reflect on what history has taught us. Now, some of you may know I'm a bit of a history student myself. I was that kid that would watch C-SPAN rather than Saturday morning cartoons, who majored in history at the University of San Diego. And what I know is that history shows us that in times of great adversity, there is also great opportunity. I'm reminded that in the 1990s, our region faced an economic crisis with the contraction of the defense and aerospace industries, the backbone of our economy at that time, leading to widespread job losses and threatening our city's future. But unlike so many other once thriving American cities that were pulled under by a struggling industry, San Diego chose a different path. We redeployed our resources, our talent, innovation, and expertise, and transformed our economy into one that was more diverse, more sustainable, and more resilient. That wasn't by accident. It was by design. It was by action. We leveraged our world-class universities to become a global leader in life sciences, wireless technology, clean tech, and other innovation industries. Now, I see a similar opportunity for us ahead, to turn this moment of great adversity into an opportunity to build a better city for all of us. I'm also reminded of my own story. Growing up here as a native San Diegan in a family that was not well off, but always found a way to scrape together just enough to keep moving forward. Who worked hard to improve our circumstances and allowed this nerdy brown gay kid from Claremont the opportunity to earn the honor to sit in this room as a city council member, as council president, as budget committee chair, and now as your mayor. And that's why I refuse to be pessimistic about our future. We are a city of innovators, of dreamers, and of doers. San Diego's story has always been one of resilience, determination, and reinvention. So this is not the time for retreat. This is not the time for us to slow down. It's time for us to double down. And as your mayor, I will use every day of the next 4 years to double down on the priorities that I know matter the most to you and have been the pillars of my administration. Keep you safe, reduce homelessness, build more housing, and fix the damn roads and storm channels. San Diego, I'm here to tell you that no matter what, no matter the obstacles ahead, we are moving forward. Forward with courage and vision, forward to our challenges, turning our challenges into opportunity, forward to build on our progress, forward to be stronger, more resilient, and more responsive to you. This is our moment to rise, to lead, and to show that even in the face of great difficulty, our great city will always move forward. Thank you, San Diego. May God bless you. May God bless our great city.
All right.
All
Dr.
right.
Welcome back. All right. I do want to ask some thoughts that you have on what you heard. I know that we won't be touching on specifics because there weren't any that were given. I know that we won't be touching on particular departments because we did not dive into opportunity for particular departments. And I know that we won't be diving into uh, sort of how we're going to reach what he called the highest service level possible because we did not have specifics about how that was going to happen. But that being said, Dr. Wendy, thoughts that you have on what you just heard?
Well, one of the things I said I was hoping to hear was a willingness to consider new ideas and how we might address this budget shortfall. And I wrote it down because he said we want to reimagine Why do we do things the way we do them? Why this way? Giving the example of, why do we all have landlines when most of us don't use them anymore? And so he spoke about that idea of being open to reimagining. And so now my question is, how can we get engaged with that? He said over the next weeks and months he would be engaging and listening to that. So now my question is, where do we engage? How do we engage? So that we can be a part of those conversations and be partners in solutions so that we can ensure access to our public libraries for our kids. Because it's a part of a quality life in San Diego.
Yeah.
It definitely is.
You're absolutely right. I too am eager to work with the administration and make sure that they understand, not only the value of the impact of the amazing work that our libraries and librarians do, but the hole that will be left if these cuts are to go through. I do invite the administration to intimately familiarize itself with, library operations so that we really understand how Misty and her team do deliver currently the highest service levels possible. And, Misty and her team are recognized nationally for the amazing work that they do. And to cripple any of that, as you were talking about at the beginning of this, I think that's going to have a real detriment to our community here. Well, listen, Dr. Wendy, I'm glad that you were able to join us. I am concerned, going forward, we're going to really dig our heels into the ground when it comes to advocacy this spring. I look forward to working with you and the commission and the friends and all of our library supporters. I want to remind people to visit us at libraryfoundationsd.org. There you can sign up for advocacy alerts, action alerts, find out how you can get involved, find out ways that you can connect specifically with your city council member, the mayor's office, and what have you. Additionally, this video will be available on our YouTube channel by the end of this week. And so we'll be sharing this not only with those of you who were able to join us, thank you again, but we will be sharing this with other folks as well. Have a wonderful rest of your day, a wonderful rest of your week. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And thank you again, Dr. Wendy, for spending time with us this afternoon. Thank you.
My pleasure. Anytime.
Fantastic.